They have become timid. I think they've become in many ways a carbon copy of what the Democrats are offering. I think they've been unwilling to use their constitutional power to fight.
What's the advice you would give Republicans, either those running for Speaker of the House now, those running for president? What would you say, here's the way you can get conservatives to be really engaged with the party?
I'd go back to the basics. And the first thing that I would do is I put their promises on paper and I would stand by your promises. Use the power that our founders and framers gave you for co-equal branches of government, for separation of powers. And that would mean, yeah, they might actually get blamed for a shutdown that they don't cause because they don't fund certain things, which is their constitutional authority. And I think what the base is saying, what conservatives like myself are saying, go out and fight and stop surrendering so quickly.
So speaking of defunding things they said they would stop, Planned Parenthood. What kind of grade would you give congressional Republicans for how they dealt with that scandal?
I give the Republicans a D- overall. Between not repealing and replacing Obamacare. Now, if you were a Republican congressman and you were in your district, you'd probably say, oh, I voted 15, 30 times to repeal Obamacare. The only problem is those were symbolic votes. When it really came time to use the power of the purse, there was one person above all others that stood up, and he has now become a pariah in his own party, and that's Ted Cruz. Senator Cruz stood on his feet for 22 hours, and he fought to do what every other senator, Republican senator and Republican congressman had promised. Had they all joined together in that moment, they would have been able to, right there and then, at least a lot of aspects of Obamacare, they would have been successful.
We've had 2 Republican debates, 1 Democratic debate, a lot of debates left to go. If Sean Hannity was moderating these things, how would you change the format from what you've seen?
I'm actually going to do 6 minutes with each candidate in a January debate before they actually debate. So there's a little format change that they have coming up. I have given most, if not all, the candidates a full hour on television, and I have no agenda. I basically open up the microphone and the camera, and I ask them about the economy, and I ask them what their top agenda items are. I ask them about foreign policy and ISIS and Putin and Israel and the debt and the deficits and the borders, and I really want to give them an opportunity, considering they have put a lot on the line to put themselves out there and run for the highest office in the land and explain that to people. So I'm not playing gotcha. I'm just trying to give them an opportunity to lay out their vision for the country.
Conservatives, you say this often in your show, like, let not your heart be troubled.
My heart's troubled.
So on that, final question for you. What do you say to people who say, I am so discouraged. We vote these folks in, they say they're going to do this, they say they're going to do that. They end up, 2 days later saying, here's why we can't do this, we can't do that. What do you say to people who are really discouraged about the future of the country?
I vacillate back and forth. At times, I think this is a country that has overcome world wars, a civil war, a depression. We overcame 9/11, as horrific as that was, as evil as that was. We have dealt with a lot of challenges in the past, but my main concern now is the debt and the deficit is so massive and so big. The promise that the unfunded liabilities are $128 trillion, $20 trillion in debt, that if we don't really have those bold colored differences that Reagan talked about emerging soon, it may come a point of no return. I have hope and optimism. We've overcome great troubles and tribulations before. I hope we can do it again. I hope we rise to the occasion. I hope leaders emerge. History has given us Winston Churchill at the right time. It's given us Margaret Thatcher and Pope John Paul and Ronald Reagan at the right time. I'd even argue George W. Bush was the right man post 9/11. We need that conservative leader with a vision that can articulate it and fight for what he believes in at this moment of time, because these challenges are enormous.